welcome to our advanced trumpet class. Once again, my name is Antonia. I'm one of the teachers here with the orchestra place. Alright, so let's jump right in. Hopefully you guys' trumpets are already out, valves are oiled, tuning is all ready. So let's start. We're going to start on page 7 of your green book. We're going to be working in F major today. I wanted to start going through some of the different keys and getting us all familiar with a lot of our scales. At some point in your musical career, you're going to have to sit down and learn all the scales, so the earlier that we start working on scales and working on songs that are all in those key centers, the easier it's going to be. So F major, how you know that you're playing in F major, so remember C is nothing in the key signature. So our key signature, which is found right after our clef, so trumpet players, we obviously play with the treble clef. That's different for different instruments, like trombone players. If you play with any other brass players, they're going to be rating bass clef. So it'll look a little bit different, but it's still giving you similar information. So we've got our treble clef, and then right next to it, you'll have either nothing, and then just the time signature, or between the time signature and the treble clef, you'll see either some flats or some sharps. So F major is when there's only one flat, okay? So F major only has B flat in it, so that's something that you guys are going to need to know, so you know what key you're in. It helps you read the pieces easier if you know what key you're playing in. So let's start with our F major scale. I want to keep working on range every week. The more that we work on it, I know sometimes it can be frustrating, but I think the range is also a really rewarding process, because when you put the work in, those notes really do start coming out, and the more you play them, it's kind of like a fun game. If you just sit in your room, I remember I used to sit in my room and just see how high I could play all the time. So our F major scale, it's just going up to our F. Not too hard. So why don't we try this out together? So this is on half notes. I'm going to put on, just for my sake, I want to put on a metronome, because I like playing. Remember last week we talked about some of our different elements to warm-ups that we should do. So flexibility, long tones, and tonguing exercises. When I'm doing long tones, I always put my metronome at 60. I'm going to put that on, and then let's give this a go. Here we go. F major scale. Remember, B flats. That's our first finger. 1, 2, 3. So that's one that you guys can keep working on your own at your house. There's also an F major scale of whole notes on page 1 of the book, if you would prefer to do that. Both of those are fine for the long tone portion of your warm-up. So let's skip over to page 8 now. On page 8, to work on some tonguing, I want to do the F major upper octave right there at the top of the page. So this one, when you're working on tonguing, you can try to push yourself a little bit speed-wise. But for right now, since this is still just our first pass, for some of you guys, your first pass at the scale, I'm going to keep the metronome, I'm just going to put it at 65. So it's da, 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 da. Actually, no, I'm going to put it all the way up to 70. Okay? So let's try this F major upper octave together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That one you really can take a lot faster once you get comfortable. I would put that one as fastly as you can play a tonguing exercise cleanly. That's how fast you should be playing it. Obviously, we don't want to, at the point where we're starting to make a lot of mistakes in our playing, that means we're playing it too fast. So we got to slow it down, because what's more important than speed is accuracy. Because if you aren't playing it accurately, you really aren't playing the exercise at all. Alright, why don't we try just for the sake of putting it all in the loop, let's try the F major arpeggio. So arpeggios, let me see, let me turn my piano on here really quick. So on the piano, you can play a chord. I think we've talked about this before. So if I'm playing an F chord versus an E flat, I can play 3 notes at once. Obviously on trumpet, I've never heard someone play 3 notes at once. I will be honest though, in college, me and my friends, we wanted to experiment with playing 2 notes at one time. And you can't really play 2 notes at one time, but there may be some videos on YouTube, I'm not sure. But there's people that can throat sing. So you can sing 2 notes at one time. And so we experimented with doing that on trumpet, so we could actually hear 2 harmonics at one time. But that's very unusual and is not written anywhere. Typically, trumpet players, we only play 1 note at a time. So in order to get this, like, the chord quality and to understand the chord, what we do is what we call outlining the chord. So we play each of the notes of that chord individually instead, and that's what we call an arpeggio. So instead of on a piano playing it like this, an arpeggio is going like this. And in this case, for the F major arpeggio, we're going up to the root of this one more time. Okay. So why don't we try this? Our F major arpeggio. This one has some extra rhythmic stuff in it too. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Songs which I've included in the Dropbox links for this week, the Dropbox link for this week, that are in F major in the book. So I've kind of jumped around a little bit so that I can include some of the other songs to kind of round out some of the playing this week. So obviously here on page 7, on page 8 there's more. And also on page 9, I believe, there's some more that are included in the Dropbox. So feel free to play through any of those. That's going to be really, really good practice. Then the next one I skipped over because I do like the range on this one. I'm actually working on it with one of my private students this week too. When Love is Kind. I like this one because there's a lot of dynamic contrast in it. So we really have to watch for those dynamics. But most of it is in a very playable range up until that last note. So this is going to work towards our endurance and our range, and also our understanding of dynamics. So just to kind of work on this a little bit right now, I want us to play, so we're just going to take these first 2 measures to start off. Okay, so the first 2 measures are like this. Alright, so we're just going to do that. So everyone play that with me right now at a nice medium volume. Let's just play those first 2 measures. Here we go. 1, 2. Alright, now I want to play those first 2 measures as quietly as we can. So when you're playing softly, a lot of people will take a really shallow breath. But what's interesting about playing soft is you actually have to have just as much air or more when you're playing really, really soft. It takes a lot of concentration in your abdomen area At least for me, when I'm playing soft, it's a lot of work to get a really, really soft tone. Definitely something that you guys should work on. So let's try playing this one as soft as we can. Take a nice big breath. 1, 2. Hopefully that went well, and you guys can keep working on this throughout the week too. And then lastly, I'm not going to play as loud as I can because it is going to blow out the speaker in my video device. But let's play those first 2 measures as loud as you can, but as loud as you can with a good tone. No one wants to hear a trumpet player just like blasting so hard that the tone in your trumpet is distorting. I'm sure all of you guys have done that before. Let's try to play as loud as we can with it still sounding nice. Here we go. 1, 2. Alright, so those are going to be our 3 different volume levels for this song. So if you look at the dynamics, we start at piano, soft. Then we go to mezzo forte, our medium volume. Then we go to forte, our loud volume. And then it stays at forte most of the time. Then it goes back to mezzo piano, then back to piano, and then finally mezzo piano. And I think that naturally we'll do a bit of a crescendo as we ascend to that top note at the very end of the song. All right. When Love is Kind. So let's just try sight reading through this piece once. And since we've talked about the dynamics, I want you guys to pay a lot of attention to the dynamics as we play this also. Here we go. 1, 2. Hopefully everyone remembered to play B flats on that song. Because remember, we're in F, so we're playing B flats this whole week. Why don't we play that together one more time, and then we'll move on to another song. Alright, so look over any mistakes you have. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that, and then we will play it again. Alright, here we go. Take 2. 1, 2. So that would be a really, really good one for you guys to email us a video of this week. So there are also some more songs on page 15 that you guys can work on. I'll just play through Sakura one time I really liked this song when I was younger, but I want to go over a song later in the book. So I'll play this one so you guys can hear it in case you want to practice this one this week. If you want, read it with me. 1, 2, 3. So that one's a really, really cool Japanese folk song. It's actually, if you notice, it's not like a happy sounding song. This song, while it does appear to be in the key of F, it's actually in the relative minor key of D minor. But it's still practicing that same 1 flat, B flat. So that's a really, really cool one to take a look at. Beautiful melody, obviously, and I like that it drops down to that low B flat also. That one's on page 15. All right, the last one that I wanted to look at today, which is going to continue some of those 16th notes that we were working on, of course, is American Patrol. This one is a great classic. If you guys ever go into playing some big bands in high school or middle school, I'm not sure, probably some of you guys are in middle school, but some of you guys will be going into maybe a different middle school somewhere. And if they have a big band, this is very likely one that you're going to play. I've played this song in big bands a lot. I believe the version that we normally play is Glenn Miller. If you want to check that out on YouTube, you can search American Patrol, big band. And a big band, just in case you don't know, a big band are those really big, old-timey jazz bands. So that's 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, and then a drummer, a bass player, a piano player, and a guitar player. They also have those in a lot of colleges if you guys end up going to college for trumpet. It's a really fun thing. Alright, so this song is meant to be played a little bit more up, so this will be a good one for you guys to practice your speed with. Why don't we try, since it is a little bit faster, the notes are a little bit faster, let's read it a little bit slower at like 70. That's still too fast. I'm going to read it down at 60 because we got all these fast notes in it. Alright? Let's try it. So it's in 2/4. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 2, and. Trumpets up. 1, 2, 2. Let's try that one again. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. faster notes, I want to talk really briefly, because we're almost out of time, just about how to practice some passages that maybe are a little bit too fast for you. So what I would do, maybe this first line is too fast for me. So I'm going to go to the part that is difficult for me, and I'm going to play that first. So in this case, I'm going to look at that second grouping of 16th notes. So I'll play that. And I'll keep playing that and keep practicing that until I get it right. Then I'm going to add in 2 notes before that. Once I can play that well, I'm going to add in another grouping before that. So I'm going to be starting at the first group of 16th notes. Now that I can play all of that well, I'm going to go back to the beginning and try to play the whole line through. So we'll talk about that more next week, because practice techniques are really, really important, and I don't think that maybe I've talked about that enough with you guys. But this one will be a really nice challenge for some of you this week. So just reviewing some of the stuff we have. Again, it's in that Dropbox links down below. We're working in F major this week. So there's exercises on page 7 through 9 that you guys can work on. Also, there's some more songs on pages 14 through 15. We've got a few more. The ones on 15 are actually in the relative minor, D minor, but it's the same key signature. So remember, there's that Sakura down at the bottom. That's a really nice one to play. And then also, lastly, American Patrol on page 28. So for this week, if you guys want to video yourself and send it to us, either playing When Love Is Kind or American Patrol, those are the 2 that I would like to see. That can be emailed to homework@theorchestraplace.com. I'll take a look at those videos and send back some personalized feedback for you guys. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and I will see you next week. Ciao.